Joining us now are two leading members of the Senate Armed Services Committee. From his home state of South Carolina, Republican Lindsey Graham. And here in studio, Democrat Jack Reed. Senator Graham, let me start with you. What do you think of the military operation in Libya so far and the support role that the U.S. is going to be playing?
Well, I'm glad we're finally doing something. I don't know how many people have died as we wait to do something. Thank God for strong women in the Obama administration. I don't know what finally got the president to act, but I'm very worried that we're taking a back seat rather than a leadership role. The British and the French have been great. Prime Minister Cameron said this action is necessary, legal, and right. President Obama is talking about limited action of days. Gaddafi is not the legitimate leader of Libya. He's an international criminal. He should be investigated by Attorney General Holder for his actions in Pan Am. We should isolate this regime. We should order all troops back to their garrison. We should knock out his radio and TV ability to communicate with his own people. We shouldn't pay this Gaddafi's forces any money when it comes to Libyan oil. Isolate, strangle, and replace this man. That should be our goal.
So I just want to make clear I understand. Are you saying that the problem is the definition of the mission or the fact that we're letting the French and the British take the lead?
At the definition of the mission, we used to relish leading the free world. Now it's almost like leading the free world is an inconvenience. I want to be a good partner. I want the Arab world, young Arabs and young Iranians, see us as a strong, effective partner for their hope and dreams of being free. And I think the president has caveated this way too much. It's almost like it's a nuisance. This is a great opportunity to replace a tyrannical dictator who is not a legitimate leader, who is an international crook. And we should seize the moment and talk about replacing him, not talking about how limited we will be.
Senator Reed, two aspects. First of all, the formulation of the coalition and the question of whether the U.S. should be taking a lead role or letting the British and the French take the lead role. And then also this question of the definition of the mission, which we just heard the chairman of the Joint Chiefs say is simply to get him to stop killing civilians, but is not regime change.
Well, first, I think the president and his colleague, Secretary Clinton, have done a superb job in building international support. Without the Arab League's endorsement, I do not think there would have been a successful UN resolution, and we would be frustrated now. And in fact, we might have been pulled into this without the international support we need, not just militarily, but financially, particularly at this critical moment when we're struggling with a deficit. So I think the president's leadership has created the conditions for an international coalition. We're shaping the battlefield right now. Initially, we have that capacity, but we'll be able to hand off very quickly to French, to Arab forces like the Qataris and others. That, I think, will send a strong signal to the Arab world that this is not about American interest. It's about democracy in Libya.
But let's get to maybe the more important question, which is the mission. Now that we have taken on Gaddafi, now that we have, I was going to say, bloodied his nose, we've done a lot more than that. Can we allow him to stay in power? I mean, he can create an awful lot of trouble in the world, even in a very weakened state as the king of Tripoli.
Well, I think what we've done now is taken the first step. But because we have a UN resolution that provides for robust operations to protect the people of Libya, there's the possibility of, I think, expanding this operation, not with U.S. forces, but frankly with other forces like the French, the British, the Qataris. That, I think, will send a strong signal to Gaddafi that his days should be limited. We have to consider, not the U.S., but internationally, some type of stabilization force. That's the most significant step, I think, going forward. But the flexibility of the UN resolution gives the United Nations and the international community the ability to take further steps. When you say a
stabilization force, are you saying you want boots on the ground?
Not United States forces. I think the president has rightly ruled that out. But there are many forces that are capable of helping. But the situation, I think, is such at this juncture that we will protect the citizens of Libya. And I think eventually what you're going to see is the Gaddafi position becomes less and less tenable. Then you have an international mechanism, a special envoy for the UN, who can move in and begin to start the negotiations, hopefully that will eject Gaddafi from power, but also coordinate with the elements in opposition and try to develop a stable government.
We're running out of time, and I want to talk about a couple of other things, but let me get to you on this, Senator Graham. You think you can negotiate Muammar Gaddafi out of power?
No, I think he should be branded for what he is. I think our government should investigate the role he played in bombing Pan Am Flight 103. I think he's an international criminal. We should isolate his regime, as Jack said. We should knock off his radio and TV stations. Any military units in Libya that come to his aid should be destroyed. We should not pay him or anybody in his on his side of the ledger any oil money. And let me just put it simply, this is the best chance to get rid of Gaddafi in my life. If we don't get rid of him, we will pay a heavy price down the road. The Obama administration owns Libya with Gaddafi. Get rid of this man. Don't be uncertain in your statements. Be bold, be effective, work with the international community, replace this international outlaw sooner rather than later.
Let me take you to a couple of other quick issues, and I'm going to ask you both to be brief about it. Senator Graham, President Obama went to the UN Security Council to get approval, authorization for this use of force. Should he go to Congress?
I don't believe he needs to come to Congress. I'll gladly vote on what he did. I think it's inherent within the authority of the Commander-in-Chief to take such action. We have been overly cautious, unnervingly indecisive. This thing melted down. I wish he had acted sooner. I don't feel a need to bless this action before he took it. I'll be glad to vote on it afterwards. One word of caution, the UN Security Council has not been used every time we've had force. If you're going to take the freedom agenda and turn it over to the Russians and the Chinese, that would be a huge mistake. I'm glad we have international support, but I don't want the model to be that you have to go to the UN to deal with tyranny, because Russia and China are going to be less than friendly to getting rid of dictators, because in many ways they are countries run by dictators.
Senator Reid, should the President get authorization from Congress?
The President should notify us under the War Powers Act, like all his predecessors who probably say it doesn't apply, but I think he will notify us. That gives us the opportunity to review what he's done. Like Lindsey, if there's a proposal coming before the Congress, then I would have no difficulty in supporting the actions to date.
Finally, we have a minute left, and we are taking this action ostensibly to prevent Gaddafi from brutally repressing and killing civilians, protesters in his country. Meanwhile, our allies in Yemen and in Bahrain have been doing the same to protesters in their country. In fact, 47 were killed by the government in Yemen on Friday. Question, you each have 30 seconds. Senator Graham, should we be intervening in those countries? They're our allies, but should we be intervening?
We should we should push back against using live ammunition against people who are protesting. This whole deterioration in the Mideast is because of indecisive leadership. The people in Yemen and Bahrain do not believe there's a downside of shooting their own people, because we let Gaddafi come back and get stronger, not weaker. So if we deal with Gaddafi decisively, we'll have better leverage in Bahrain and Yemen, and the Iranians will think twice. But if we don't deal with him decisively, all hell is going to break loose in the Mideast, because nobody's going to follow a weak America.
Senator Reid.
Unlike Libya, we have constant communication with the leadership in both Yemen and Bahrain. Secretary Gates was in Bahrain, making it quite clear to the king there and our diplomats in Sana'a, Yemen, making it clear to President Saleh that they have to respect the rights of their people. They have to allow peaceful protests. They can't use violence to suppress the legitimate concerns of the people. That's the message we have to send, and we're sending it.
Senator Reid, Senator Graham, we want to thank you both so much for coming in and weighing in on this fast-moving story. Thank you, Senators.
Thank you.
Up next, Japan battles a nuclear meltdown. What does it mean for the U.S.? Answers